Hello, beautiful people of the world. So today I'm going to be talking about Mercury in Capricorn, which is the last one in my Mercury series. So that's pretty exciting. Not sure which one I'll move on to next. Maybe Jupiter. That sounds good. So as usual, I'm going to be breaking this placement down into 3 different parts. The first being your communication style, the second being the thought process and the way that you think, and the third being the kind of information and knowledge that you have access to. So in terms of communication, Mercury in Capricorn is someone who is very direct about the way that they speak. If they need to tell you XYZ, they are going to tell you exactly XYZ. They are not afraid of confrontation in any sort of sense. They aren't one that will play games or be passive aggressive. They will come up to you and be like, hey, look, we need to talk about something. They're really good at just kind of initiating difficult conversations because they are able to take their emotions out of it. The way that they speak is very non-emotive. They don't really use too many inflections or exaggerations. They can be kind of monotone and very just forthright about what they need to say. For them, communication is not about drama and emotions and entertainment. It's a practical means and a tool in order to exchange information or collaborate on something or get work done. They don't really chat for fun. Like if you text them about some random thing that happened to you that day, they're just gonna be like, okay, whatever, you know? But if you're like, hey, at 4 o'clock, I really need you to help me work on this project, they'll be like, okay, what do you need me to get done? And so they're much more willing to respond and engage in a conversation if they feel like it's actually accomplishing anything, if that makes sense. They just view it in a very practical, realistic way, and they see communication as a tool and they want to achieve something with it. They don't want to be meaninglessly saying things or wasting their time and energy with kind of trivial conversations. Not that they don't engage in social activities. Mercury Capricorn, someone that really is interested in talking about kind of structural things. They really like talking about business. They like talking about work, projects, business ventures, government, politics, law, and very earthy things in terms of like construction and maybe mechanical work or even the weather, fishing, these kinds of things. If they have some kind of use and some kind of realism, they can really kind of dig their teeth into it, and it makes for a much more interesting conversation for them. They can be kind of dominating and controlling in a conversation with the way that they communicate. They just want to be in control of what's being said and what's being exchanged. So they can be very reserved. So even though they are direct, and they're incredibly honest people, you have a lot of integrity about the things that you say. If you say something, you mean it. If you promise to do something, you're going to do it. But at the same time, you're very polite and kind of poised, and you have a lot of kind of self-respect and dignity that you are trying to preserve and emanate. So you're not someone that's going to cuss. You're not someone that's going to talk about really taboo issues or topics, especially with people that you don't know very well. You're going to be very aware of how the things that you're affecting other people, aware of that, because you really don't want to ruffle too many feathers or make you seem uncultured or uncivilized. So if you don't know anything about what you're talking about, then you'll prefer to be quiet. You're not going to just ramble on about some random stuff and, you know, embarrass yourself or anything. You are very self-conscious about the way that you're coming off and the way that you're speaking. So you might come off as a little bit cold and a little bit stiff. Hold on a sec. This dog is tangled up. Clem, go boy. So that's just something to be aware of about yourself in social situations. If you're trying to open up a little bit more, don't worry about it. You know, you have your own style of going about things, and there's nothing wrong with that. And people might jest and pester you to be a different way or all these things. Just find the people that understand where you're coming from and that you do have a lot to add to a conversation, but that you don't go about it like a lot of other people do, and that's totally okay. So in terms of your thought process, Mercury in Capricorn is extremely organized and extremely structured within their brain and their mindset. So you don't have all these random thoughts going on in your head. You have very real, practical, grounded thoughts. They're usually in the now moment, or they are trying to build towards a future. So you tend to think about like bills and responsibility and timing and schedules and organizing everything correctly. You like to plan out your workday, make sure kind of all your ducks are in a row, and you like to think about saving money for the future, or making sure that all of your utilities are taken care of, and that you are investing in things that you are meant to, that you're moving forward correctly, that if you're in academia, you have all of your homework done and you've got next semester planned out. You know, you like to think about putting everything in its right place, and that is very comforting to you. You work very hard mentally in order to understand everything. Even if you don't know something, let's say someone brings up gardening, for example, and you don't know anything about gardening, your brain, knowing that, is going to start trying to understand it, even if it has nothing to do with your personality or your life. If you recognize that there's something you can work on, you're going to put so much work into it. You can work very hard to understand anything. And this is really helpful to you in school settings or when meeting new people, because even though Capricorn can seem kind of rigid, they are open-minded in the sense that they feel and believe that practice and determination can allow them to accomplish anything. So that's true with Mercury too. If you want to learn a new language, maybe you're not the best at language, maybe you don't have the most creativity or the best pronunciation or anything like that, but Capricorn and Mercury will study every day. They'll write 15 words down, they'll learn new vocabulary, they'll go talk to someone, they'll sign up for a class. You know, they're not going to give up on anything easily. Your thought process definitely is stubborn in that sense. If you have a thought, an idea, or an opinion that you believe is true, that you believe is valid, and you've worked really hard to obtain that, it's going to take quite a lot to dislodge that from you. You, for the most part, enjoy the way that you think about things and don't really like to be challenged, though. Like I said, you can be really open-minded, but someone's gonna have to work just as hard to convince you of a different or opposing opinion than yours, but you are very responsive to facts and details. So if you learn something very grounded that just totally dismantles everything you ever knew, you're definitely going to trust things that follow science and natural law and, you know, physics and data and practiced use. Like if you hear about a healing method that's like a fad, you're not really going to believe it if it's only really helped a few people. But if you can notice that it's helped hundreds of thousands of people over hundreds of thousands of, you know, years, then maybe that's too many years. Sorry, Capricorn Mercury, I'm trying to keep it factual here, but you know what I'm saying. Like if it actually has a history of working, then you're going to have a much easier time allowing that into your mental body as something that you believe is true. And your brain constantly kind of fact checks things and makes sure that you are up to date your thought process is also kind of trying to continuously push you forward, to continue to push you more, to think about things harder, to understand things more. It's not enough for you to be fluent in a language. Now you have to help other people. Now you have to translate. Now you need to go travel to that country. Capricorn Mercury is not going to let your mind rest. It is going to want you to push yourself mentally, to be continuously smarter, to have more intelligence, more information, more connections and networks, because Capricorn is very ambitious. So in this sense, you are mentally ambitious. So allow yourself to study new topics. If you find yourself bored or depressed or something like this, it really could be your Mercury just not getting enough sustenance and then not enough learning. And your thought process is relatively serious, and you think about these very serious, heavy, real topics and real world things, and politics and society and humanity and your work and your job. It's very hard for you to turn that off. So, you know, even when you're at home relaxing, you're probably thinking about your job. But that's just kind of how you are, you know. You're a really hardworking individual mentally, and that's just kind of how your mind works. So in terms of the knowledge that you have access to, it's kind of been touched upon a little bit, but very real, logical, grounded, practical, structural information. You could be like a surveyor. You could really understand your area and have entire maps in your head. You really know how to put things together and take them apart. You know how to gather the resources. You could look at a car engine and understand every single piece and part that there is, how they work together, what year they were made from, where you can go buy the parts, how much the parts cost. You have this like catalog of knowledge and history that is incredibly useful in a lot of different situations, whether you are an engineer or a teacher or a historian or a businessman. You're going to be able to really analytically break things down, but know how to build them back up. And that is the beauty of this earth sign, is that, you know, Virgo knows how to take everything and view the tiny little details within. And Taurus knows how to gather all of the resources. So you are really like a mental carpenter. And because of this, you have access to primarily the knowledge of manifestation. You know what you need to do, how to put your life in order, and the actions that you need to take in order to manifest your dreams. And a lot of people struggle with this, but this comes so naturally to you. You tend to know that if you plan your life out A, B, C, that you're going to get the money that you want, the job that you want, the person that you want, the location that you want. It just kind of happens because you work for it. You work really hard and structure your entire mind to create and build up a reality that you are proud of, that makes you feel good, that makes it worthwhile to be alive. You have this drive to achieve so much. And so you have access to the tools in order to do that. I hope that you've learned something. If you did, give me a thumbs up. If you have this placement or know someone that has this placement, feel free to share in the comments. This Mercury series has been really fun for me to channel. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll be back soon with maybe some non-astrology topics, and then I'll probably jump into Jupiter. So thank you guys so much for all the love and support. It's very overwhelming and humbling. And if you are interested in having me interpret your birth chart, or if you're interested in energetic healing and animal care, please check out my website, indigohealing.online. I'll put the link in the description. Have a blessed day.